tapper, so I'm going to run through the dimensions pretty quick here for you. I use 3/4 inch MDF because it's easy to work with, really sturdy and straight. So this front panel is a rectangle. It is 32 by 19 7/8 inches wide. You'll have to convert that to metric, and all these dimensions are 85% of an actual original machine, so you'll have to do some math. There is a lip right there, that's 7/8 of an inch. If we come up to the marquee area, you can see this area, looks like the cat wants to help. This lower piece is 7 1/4 inches by 19 7/8 inches wide. There is a bevel cut. You'll want to have an angle on that so it meets flush with the marquee. The back is just perpendicular. The top piece will be 6 by 19 7/8 inches wide. It also has a bevel cut, so this is perpendicular, but your bevel cut will be needed here so that meets nice and flush. Let's come to the back area, and you can see that's got a handle on it and got my spot for a switch. There's a 1/2 inch lip there. This back piece is 15 7/8 inch long by 19 7/8 inch wide. There are 2 bevel cuts on this, so to get this angle you've got a bevel cut on it, and then you also have a bevel in the back so it's nice and flush. The back is arbitrary. I just put a little bit of wood there. We have a coin door. That's about an eighth inch narrower, so that'd be about 19 3/4 inch wide. I did put a lock on it, and you can see that's pretty simple. You can get those from any hardware store. So let's take that off and I'll show you the construction real quick. I used batting, which is just 1 by 2s to put it together. I put an electrical outlet in it, and I put it on a switch, which is an actual switch. More stuff from the hardware store. Doesn't have to be fancy. That way you get a nice hole there. So it's just a box. There's nothing fancy to these old machines. You can see how I put the batting in there. So the tricky side is this, and I've drawn this out. You'll have to lay down a piece of plywood on the ground, and you'll just have to start marking this out unless you already have the side art printed like I did. So the width on this whole side profile here, I'm getting ready to talk about that, is 25 1/4 inches deep. This front piece here is 33 1/4. The control panel area is 5 1/4. That length from there to there is 12 1/2, and you'll have to put in a curve on it. 7 1/2 inches for this front piece here, and notice you'll have to count for the curves in that. The height of this from the bottom to that peak is 59 1/8 inch. The back panel here, so I'm talking about from there down to there, is 15 5/8 inches. And then that back height from the bottom to the top is 50 7/8. So from there down to there is 50 7/8. The curves, as you lay that out, they're just going to be natural. I mean, you can get some ideas for help, like drop the tape there. So you can see I just used a black tape roll to kind of get that feel. I also had a compass and laid it out, but these curves are just natural, do what fits. So there are the main dimensions for building this. The control panel has some dimensions too. So that front face is about 2.5 inches long, The panel itself is about 5 inches, and that little backsplash just sticks up 3/4 of an inch. So what that looks like is that I left an 1/8 inch so I can put a piece of plexiglass on top. I bevel cut that a little bit so I can put the lip on there. I like to have the dust washers underneath the plexi so it's nice and clean, kind of like an old Robotron. And that's all there is to it. Using some really super cheap zippy sticks. Those aren't great, but you're really only looking for up and down. I routed in slots for them so they sit in there nice. So you don't have to do fancy things here. The router there will make your T-molding cut. That's available online at the T-molding site. You want to make sure that your bushing's big enough so it doesn't cut too deep. That's an old jigsaw. That's actually from the 80s. That thing's old. Just a tiny little skill saw, battery powered drill that goes with it. This is for cutting your holes. That's an 1 1/8" hole saw, and the cat loves the hole saw, apparently. You want your triangle and your tape measure and a pencil. That's pretty much it, guys, and that allows you to build something for Raspberry Pi or MAME. Put in whatever you need. And this space here is for a 19-inch Dell LCD computer monitor. Nothing fancy, just make it fit, and that way you can put some plexiglass in the front. And this panel does fit on once the vinyl's printed. So you can see that just sits right in there, and that will leave room for the plexiglass to slide up in behind that, and it will be in front of the monitor. That's all there is to it. These are just simple boxes, and that's all they were back then too. There's nothing magical or artistic about these things too much. Hopefully that helps.